It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Welcome back to the E3 Spectacular, Part 2, featuring Sony, Nintendo, Squaresoft, and the PC Gamer Show. If you're just coming to us for the first time, I would recommend checking out Part 1 over here. The little annotations floating up inexplicably beside my head. That'll show off stuff like Ubisoft, EA, Bethesda, and Microsoft shows. This one's the later for. Or you can just watch this one. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. What am I, your mother? Well, do whatever you want. Starting off this show is going to be Sony and their big presser. Sony's generally been known for some pretty intense press conferences in the past. They've done really well recently, and let's see if they can keep the momentum up here in 2015. Go for it, Sony. Let's see what you got. Starting with Sony, we can see they have decided to pull exactly no punches. They opened with The Last Guardian, one of the most anticipated games of all time, the follow-up to one of the most beautiful gaming experiences that has ever existed, Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. That is just opening with a haymaker punch. That is awesome. Oh, I'm excited. I'm stoked. Thank you, Sony, for finally lending legitimacy that this game still exists. And straight out of The Last Guardian, Sony introduces us to Horizon Zero Dawn, a brand new IP. And, really, I just have to say this. Hunting robot dinosaurs. Those are the only words I need. Hunting robot dinosaurs. That doesn't make the 8-year-old in you giddy. I don't know what will. Next, we're moving into another franchise that I actually really like, and I'm hoping will make a resurgence from what's been a troubled couple of games. Hitman. And, yeah, it looks kind of good. They discussed this a little bit in the PC Gamer Show as well, but I thought I'd show it here because this is where they show the whole trailer. The focus of this Hitman is on large environments and non-linear gameplay. Unlike a lot of the recent Hitman, where you have very structured missions in between the occasional non-linear assassination mission, this one, I think, focuses more on those. They also want to do things like weekly events and stuff, so that's kind of cool. It's a nifty little change on how the Hitman games play. And, of course, they're bringing over the contract system from Absolution, which is going to be really cool, especially with the new graphics and the new engine allowing for much more NPC crowding. So that's going to be cool. New Hitman. I'm interested. Thank you. The new Street Fighter's coming out, and there's a lot of kind of interesting twerks to how the game plays based on kind of like meter and stuff like that, which makes it kind of interesting. As somebody who's been playing a way too much Mortal Kombat lately, I'm actually interested in picking this one up. Hopefully it's a well-received entry to the franchise. And last, we come to one of the most interesting games announced in a long time, No Man's Sky. And if you heard of it, and you know what I'm talking about, you'll know why it's so interesting. It's definitely one of the most unique ideas in a long time. And it's an idea based in something common, but the follow-through is truly amazing. If you've never heard of No Man's Sky, you should look it up. They procedurally generated billions of stars with tens of billions of planets to create this living universe. And the game's all about exploring and finding resources and stuff like that on this cosmic scale and reaching the center of the galaxy. It's really cool. And they show off a gameplay demo here, which they've been showing for a while, of some of the cool things you'll encounter while exploring the galaxy. Now, it's crazy how much work is going into this. It's the king of procedurally generated games, by the way, because a lot of these planets may never be explored, ever, in the history of the game. Like, will never be touched by humans. They'll be there, they'll be floating. Much like the real galaxy will probably never be there. But it's really interesting game to follow up on. I mean, No Man's Sky looks awesome, and it's so deep that I'm really excited for it. I've been really excited for it since they announced it at the VGAs. And, yeah, it's going to be good. I've always wondered what it's like to drop a lot of acid and then vividly hallucinate a bunch of random crap. So, Media Molecule's taken out the middleman so you can see what it would be like to vividly hallucinate a bunch of random crap in their new game, Dreams, where it's all about animating dreams and they stitch together in some weird world, and it's supposed to simulate what it's like to be dreaming. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Those guys are creative as fuck, but sometimes I think genius and madness kind of blur a little bit over there. I'm just gonna go back and play some more Little Big Planet. You guys are working on a fourth one, right? Right, guys? You're working on a fourth one? Oh. So Firewatch is a game that's coming out on PC as well that is exactly what it sounds like. You are a park ranger, fire ranger, out in the middle of nowhere, living on your own. And that's the game. And I guess you talk to somebody on a headset, it looks like. And that's the game. I'm actually kind of interested in it because it looks like it's been really well done. I feel like it's got a really good sense of humor to it. If you watch the trailer, you can see how he kind of messes with the person he's talking to and things like that. I'm actually interested in the game, and I will be checking this one out once it comes out, probably on PC, not on PlayStation. But, you know, that's just because I'm a PC nerd. Destiny still sucks. Alright, well, I'm not sure what's in the water over at Square Enix, but this is new World of Final Fantasy, which, guys, you're getting real close to infringing on a trademark there. But, yeah, chibi Final Fantasy fighting with monsters. I'm not entirely sure what this is, but, what's going on with the water at Square Enix HQ? We should probably call a plumber, because there's something wrong. Wait, what? What is this? What is this? What?
Are coming back.
No. No, they did not.
At last.
They did.
Has
They
been
did.
made.
They definitely did. Yes, it has lasted more than 4 hours. That's why I'm calling. No, it was caused by Final Fantasy. Yes, that is a video game. Yes, I'll hold. Did Sony just announce a Kickstarter campaign at their press conference? Well, this has been the weirdest fucking oh, it's for Shenmue 3, then take all of my money. Oh, there it is. There it is. We found it. It took us a little while, but we finally found the annual addition to the most boring shooter of the year franchise. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is here. We found it. It's okay. I just waited till the Sony conference to come out. Usually they do the Microsoft conference because it blends really well with the boredom of the Microsoft conference. But I guess because the Microsoft conference wasn't totally terrible, they had to throw it in here to give it a little contrast from the other amazing releases Sony's doing. So we found the boring Call of Duty. We're good now. We're good. Activision is still being lame. In between here, we had a couple of Star Wars things, something Disney Infinity Star Wars, and another demo for Battlefront, which was quite substantially less interesting than the one they ran at the EA conference. So you're not missing much here if you didn't watch. But now we've got Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. This was teased last year at the end of the conference, and I mean, Uncharted is a venerable Sony franchise. It's a great franchise, in my opinion, because they perfectly mimic a video game version of an Indiana Jones film, in my opinion. Nathan Drake's an a fun and interesting character, if he can be a little bit annoying sometimes. Their storytelling is fantastic, their animation and cutscenes are great. It's just an all-around premium experience. Uncharted is the kind of game, if you've never played it, it is the most generic set of mechanics they could think of, basic shooting, climbing, and punching, but polished to such a sheen that they come off as gold. Like, there's nothing truly out there about the Uncharted games. They are, for all intents and purposes, pretty generic games taken on their own. But when you add in that Naughty Dog flair, they are exceptional games. You never play the Uncharted games, you should try it. And you should try Thief's End when it comes out on Sony, because I have a good feeling about it, because Naughty Dog has really not led me in the wrong direction before. They're generally pretty good at what they do. So, yeah, check it out, Uncharted 4, and check out the other ones. I guess they're doing a remastery of the other three. Fucking remastering shit from the last generation is stupid. Sony's coming through with a really strong game this year. I mean, that's tough to match. Between Final Fantasy VII Remake, something that people have been clamoring for probably the better part of a decade. You've got The Last Guardian, which is a game that people have been excited for years, and I guess a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. Not to mention Hunting Robot Dinosaurs. I'd say Sony's coming away from this one with a pretty wide margin of first place. But let's move on. We've still got 3 more conferences to look at. Next up on the docket is Square Enix and their very first E3 press conference appearance. Let's see what they've got. I think my favorite part of this Just Cause 3 trailer is how the narrator is just so matter-of-factly describing the game, while all of this ridiculous chaos is going on behind him. In a game built entirely out of hyperbole and utter nuttiness, this guy is just like, Just Cause 3 is an open-world game in which you play as Rico. It's so out of place against the backdrop of what is one of the most chaotic games ever made. It's just so weird to me. I mean, Just Cause is a great game. I mean, open world, total destruction, fun stuff and that. But just the way they presented it is hilarious. So this is the point in the conference, and I know it's pretty early in the conference, that I realized that Square did not have nearly enough material to really announce anything. Being that right now they are announcing the next Nier game. And the guy even comes out and states, matter-of-factly, right out of the gate, that they are still a long way off from anything even closely resembling, sort of a little bit looking like a final product. They are very far out. And we get mostly a trailer made up of snippets of concept art and one short animated sequence. So, yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. By the way, we're getting another Nier game. I have no idea what that entails because they don't really show us anything because we're getting another Nier game in like 2018. Holy shit, what the fuck? Get it off the screen! So I wanted to wait for the Square Enix conference before I started talking about the new Tomb Raider game, partly because they show the same trailer in both the Microsoft and Square conference, but also because there is no other real content in the Square conference. God, say that 7 times fast. Content conference, content conference, content conference. Ugh. But yeah, there's not really much going on in this Square conference, so I needed something to talk about during it. And then we're going to talk about Rise of the Tomb Raider. And it's a pretty interesting looking game. It's another... I really like the reboot of Tomb Raider. It feels very much like Uncharted, and I know I'm being weird by saying that because Uncharted was informed by the original Tomb Raider, but still, it feels very fresh and enjoyable, and the Lara Croft is acted very well, and the story is written very well, and it comes together very effectively, and makes a very, very, very fun game. Hopefully this one continues to emphasize the survival elements that became very prevalent in the first one, to show that Lara's arc continues on beyond the first game's arc, which I think would be really cool. There's a real potential for some really good storytelling here, as well as, you know, Lara Croft torture porn, because that's basically what half of the first fucking game was. They also brought out Lara Croft Go, which is a kind of companion app, sort of like Hitman Go was, where you can kind of play your game and it's kind of fun and that kind of stuff. Hitman Go was a hit. Hopefully Lara Croft Go is a hit. It's good times. Alright, here we go. What we all came for. Kingdom Hearts 3 footage, go! Oh, you, sir, are a dick, sir. You, sir, are a dick. You, sir, are a dick. This is the oldest trick in the E3 book, and you're pulling it on one of the most anticipated games that we haven't seen yet, because it's the only game you haven't shown in another fucking conference, and you, sir, are a dick. Alright, now we're gonna go see some Kingdom Hearts footage. Alright, let's see this. Let's see it. Are you kidding me? You did it twice! You've done it twice! You've given me more blue balls than any woman I've ever met in my entire life! You goddamn monster! So we're finally given some actual Kingdom Hearts footage, finally! And it looks pretty good, to be honest with you. It looks very Kingdom Heartsy. The areas we get to explore look pretty vast and, expansive. We get a whole bunch of special abilities, which look like Disney rides, which is hilarious to me. And a little bit of weird story about 2 people playing chess that in standard Kingdom Hearts fashion, I have no fucking idea what's going on. But, you know, I guess things are happening in magic and stuff. Hopefully it's fun. I will definitely play it because I've played all the main series ones and they are really good. So, let's Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts. And then they dropped this bomb. A new Star Ocean game. If you ever played the old Star Oceans, they're actually really good old school JRPGs. Kind of action combat. And this one looks really good. I'm kind of excited. Kind of science fiction-y, fantasy, anime-y game. They don't really do that much into detail on it, really. Show off some stuff like the combat and all that kind of stuff. But, something to expect for next year if you're into JRPGs like I am. And hopefully it'll be a good one. But serious side question here, who the fuck writes these subtitles? Integrity and faithlessness? What the shit? It's like those old Kingdom Hearts titles, like 365 days divided by 2 or whatever the fuck that was. Like, who writes these? Next, we get into some Deus Ex Mankind Divided, where they show off a little bit of the game and talk about it. It looks pretty interesting. There's a lot of really deep and heavy themes going on with the storytelling, and it looks like it takes a lot from Human Revolution, which came out just a couple years ago, which was also a really good game. So, interested. Of course, I've been interested in Mankind Divided for a little while because it's a good Deus Ex game. Who doesn't like Deus Ex games, really? But yeah, it's a good time. Hopefully, it will be just as good, if not better, than its predecessor in these modern Deus Ex series. Then they wouldn't announce an app. And not like an app that's a companion to another game or a game app. No, just an app that is literally like a Final Fantasy wiki. Why? Why did you think this was appropriate to announce here? This is probably another symptom of the fact that they set up a conference and realized they did not have enough content to fill a full hour and a half. So they had to kind of reach at straws, like announcing a Nier game 30 years before it actually comes out. Or announcing a fucking Portal app that is a wiki. What the hell, guys? Another thing they weirdly decided not to talk about was Bravely Second, the sequel to the fan favorite and critically acclaimed Bravely Default, which we know is in development because they announced it. So, where is it, Square? Were you just not confident enough to bring that one up? Did you think that we'd already forgotten how good JRPGs can be? Did you think that we already stopped wanting them? Because we want them. You know we want them, in fact, because you decided to finish out your press conference by announcing that you had made a whole new studio to make specifically JRPGs. So much so that you called it the Tokyo RPG Factory. That's not made up. I'm assuming it's the same guy who wrote the subtitle for Star Ocean on that one. Just, I don't even know. Why didn't you show Bravely Second? Maybe it's not finished. Maybe it's not close enough. Maybe they wanted to hand it off to another fucking press conference, but they didn't. There's a lot of stuff that was weirdly shown and a lot of stuff that could have been shown that maybe it would have been shown. Either way, this was a kind of bizarre press conference. It's a little strange when cast upon the shadow of every other press conference that came before it. I'm excited to see what they're coming with, but their presentation was just awful. Ugh. But don't worry, we've got just the thing to wash that sour Square Enix-y taste out of your mouth. As much as they've got a nice lineup of games coming, and I like what they announced, their presentation was not good at all. I mean, it's got to be the most boring press conference I have ever watched. But yeah, let's wash that taste out of your mouth with the Nintendo Direct digital event that they ran. You advanced in a couple of new Nintendo games. Who doesn't love Nintendo games? They're adorable. Everybody loves Nintendo games. Let's roll the clips, ladies and gentlemen. The Nintendo Direct event. So one thing you've got to give Nintendo credit for is the presentation of their digital events is amazing. I mean, this year, they did almost everything in Muppet form. I'm not even kidding you. They had Muppets for the whole Nintendo team doing the press conference for the Nintendo Direct. It's one of the advantages of not doing a physical press conference and doing instead of digital event like this, as well as the Treehouse event, which, they do. Which, really kind of nifty way to do it. And, yeah, good job. Good on you. It's not just a press conference where we want to watch as many trailers as possible. It's also an enjoyable little thing in itself. Well, if that isn't the fucking most adorable video game announcement you have ever seen, then I don't know what's wrong. I don't... You need to show me what tiny kittens are announcing video games in your goddamn world. And we got a new Star Fox coming, which a lot of people have been waiting for, including myself. I really miss the original Star Fox games. Games like Star Fox Assault didn't really do it for me. But I'm really enjoying this new direction that they're taking with kind of the transformable vehicles and playing in different ways. It's kind of cool. I'm in. More Star Fox plus. Well, it looks like they finally made the inevitable Skylanders amiibo crossover. And, yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense that if you got two cash cows, you should see if they can fucking make more cash cows. And apparently we've got some more footage of Mario Maker, which, if you don't remember, is basically a legitimate form of ROM hacking. It's, making your own Mario levels. There's nothing really beyond that. That's the whole thing. It's making your own Mario levels. Meh. Kinda cool. I guess some cool things could come of it. And it looks like we've got a new 3DS Zelda on the way, and it looks like it's a multiplayer Zelda this time. We can invite up to 3 friends with other 3DSs to join in, and together solve dungeons. You can play it single player with little AI companions instead. But, I think it's a really unique way to take Zelda. I never would have thought it to be too much of a multiplayer game, but of course, with the multiplayer focus of everything nowadays, It's clearly obvious that was going to happen eventually. But I'm not one who's too big on the 3DS Zeldas because there's something wrong in my head where I don't like fun. So it's weird. But I'm sure people will enjoy it. It looks like it's going to be fun, and it looks like it's kind of in the same thematic world as Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. So that's going to be fun. Oh, and another Hyrule Warriors. Cool. Next. What in the ever-loving fuck was that? Now, I'm sure it's totally intentional that they took an entire series based largely on exploration and atmosphere and really cool, interesting elements like that and turned it into some sort of weird, dinky 4-player shooter and 3v3 sci-fi sports game? There is something wrong with the plumbing in Japan at this point. Like, who would have thought this was a good idea? Who? Name me the person. Because that's... Ugh. I understand why Inafune's team is now working with Microsoft. This makes perfect sense after being handed this. New Fire Emblem game. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. I like this. I like this. I like this whole thing. I like everything about it. If you could wrap it up in a box and send it to me immediately, that would be amazing. Because I love these games, and I want more of them in my life. Thank you very much, Nintendo, for giving us more Fire Emblem. Now, I unfortunately haven't gotten a chance to play the Xenoblade Chronicles game that came out for the Wii, but I've heard it's extremely good, and it's something that's definitely on my list. And now we got Xenoblade Chronicles X, which, wow, that looks like things are happening in it. And it looks like there's definitely things happening in that. The robots, and there's explosions and swords. It looks like things are happening in that game. Animal Crossing. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only people who doesn't get the appeal. Why is this so popular? I mean, I've played them. Played a couple of them. Briefly. I'm not 100%... I don't get it. Maybe it's just not my brain. And there's a new Animal Crossing is what I'm saying. And it looks like some sort of weird Mario Party clone. Enjoy? Also, there's one that's apparently just interior decorating. People who enjoy Animal Crossing will enjoy it, I'm sure. I don't quite understand the appeal. I don't know what Nintendo's obsession is with making games involving their characters being a strange material. Like Kirby's Rainbow Curse, how everything's claymation, and Kirby's Epic Yarn, where everything's yarn, and Yoshi's Woolly World, where everything's yarn, and Paper Mario, where everything's paper. I mean, I understand, like, creating the themes, but this seems to be, like, a running thing now, where they're just like, well, let's take Nintendo character X, and we will put them in a world made of, I don't know, spongy yoga mat material. It'll be Metroid spongy yoga mat material, and everybody will enjoy it, and it'll be very cutesy, and it'll look very nice and aesthetically pleasing, but it's basically the same game with a few minor tweaks. Not that I'm complaining. I mean, most of the games they put out in these series are good. And again, that's more of probably a thing about Nintendo than the games themselves, because Nintendo's very good at what they do. But, maybe I'm just weird. Something I wanted to point out while we're looking at Yoshi's Woolly World here. Now, there's a couple of series I really like in the Mario universe. It's Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi set of RPGs. And it looks like they're doing a crossover between the two, which really felt only natural. If this is how I get a new Paper Mario game, I don't care. I love Paper Mario. It's a great series. But let's, hopefully it's a good game, too. I might be having to pick this one up. It looks like they're going to be crossing it all over. So I'm in. It's going to be fun. And for Nintendo, that's basically all she wrote. There's not too much else there. I mean, the Star Fox introduction is nice, and I like all of that coming in. There's a lot of good games to look forward to from Nintendo. Not nearly as good as some of their other years. They've definitely done better, but then again, the Zelda U was pushed back and things like that. So, it's still a good year for Nintendo, and I really love their performance, so I'm excited. Now, last one on our list is the PC Gamer Show, and this one's going to be short because it's kind of an interesting new addition to the E3 lineup. It's put on by PC Gamer and sponsored by a number of companies, and they did it in the coolest format, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But let's take a look at the PC game. As I said, I'm just going to touch briefly on this one because there were a few announcements, but nothing major. It was the most interesting, though, because despite being the longest of the conferences by far, the longest of the conferences, it was actually kind of fun to watch. They did it in the style of a talk show with Day 9 as the host. and he would bring on the guests and they would talk about their games. It worked really well for the format, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
And it's not just because I'm a PC gaming nerd.
Though there were a few big announcements, such as Rising Storm Vietnam and some information about No Man's Sky coming to PC. Really, the show was more about digging into some existing franchises and looking at what's next for PC gaming as a whole. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'd recommend giving it a watch if you've got 2.5 hours to spare and are really into processors and cores, specifically AMD stuff. Check it out. It was a fun time. I'm not going to go any more deeper into it because we've already run way too long on this one. And with that, E3 is done and gone for another year. Well, not entirely. I mean, there's a lot more stuff on the floor that we get to check out. But as I said, I am in anti-Los Angeles right now, which is called Canada. And I am not there to be able to check out the nitty-gritty and the smaller indies that pop up on the show floor and have a really kind of interesting showing there. But I recommend you take a look into them, see if you can find any. That's my recap of the E3 2015 presser and big reveal cycle. I hope you've enjoyed this weird little commentary. And if you did, there's a couple of buttons you can check out. There's a subscribe button down below me. You can give that guy. We do this kind of stuff every 2 weeks. We do some cross-examinations of video games. It's what I call the Orange Hatter Show. It's a good time. And if you enjoyed this, thanks for watching. I know it's been a long, long time. If you watched both, goddamn bonus points. I've been yelling at you for almost 50 minutes now. But thank you very much, and you have a fantastic one.
Shit, fuck, wait, which controller's plugged in? I don't know, press all the buttons. Like, come on, have you ever used the PlayStation 4 controller, man? Come on, please. Just start it over, restart the demo, nobody will notice.